Okay, we are live, baby, but we got to let it breathe. Y'all know the drill. Just for a moment while we bring on Facebook, and here's to hoping that it connects as it should. StreamYard's been a very, very naughty lately, and looks like we're okay. YouTube, I'm seeing good things. Let me just double check Facebook here. It takes a second. Hang tight, guys. We don't have Mr. Producer tonight, so we gotta mind our P's and Q's on our own here. Yep, we're good. All right, guys. Hey, welcome in. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, dude, the rookies report this week, Wednesday. It's happening, dude. We're almost there. Training camp awaits.
Finally, yeah, we're going to talk about tonight why the Broncos' first two picks, Barron and Harvey, haven't put pen to paper yet, but they are reporting next week, and training camp is around the corner. I am so pumped. Like you always say, Chad, we talk about it offline, online. This has been the longest offseason known to man, and it's almost coming to an end. So, hallelujah.
Dude, long and painful. You know, I can handle long and boring. It's just, I don't know. There's been something about this particular off season, and cannot wait. Seriously, cannot wait. Yeah. But we do have, look, not a lot of news has come out over the weekend, but we do have a lot of stories to get to. We're going to talk about the latest on Harvey, what's holding up that deal, him and Zack Barron. First, a few hellos, though. Papa Bear, what's good, big dog? Great to see you.
Thank you, David.
Hope you are doing well day by day, improving with things. It says, good evening, Broncos country. 3 days, 13-4, plus. Yeah, so the rookies report 3 days, the 16th, the vets the following week on the 22nd. It's not really going to feel like training camp's back, though, until basically 2 weeks from yesterday. The back together day, everything where the fans come in, that's 2 weeks from Saturday, from yesterday. So, but still, who knows? We'll cross our fingers. I doubt we'll get any media availability or anything hearing from Sean Payton or any of the rookies. They're going to have them working basically, classroom stuff, maybe some on-field stuff, but not open to the media until Zack actual training camp begins, which is, again, not this coming Saturday, but the next.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, it's going to be a little slower, but then when training camp does start, every single day we'll get media access. We'll get Sean Payton. We'll get the players. We'll have news, tangible news to talk about. It's going to be so exciting. So we appreciate you. And I feel like we're going to add those pluses, Chad, each and every pod. It's going to keep growing the supers of plus every single time. Thank you so much.
I love it. Indeed. So, yeah, guys, basically 2 more weeks of hanging tough, getting through it. And, we'll see what happens. But, guys, first thing, well, I guess, hold on real quick. David was the first one in the chat, and we're going to get to this. We'll answer your question here in just a second. Hang tight. I will make sure we get you, buddy. Got to grab the Duchess, though, when she jumps off from the top rope.
Thank you,
We
Michaela.
all see her. Bam. Here she is, Michaela Parker. In the flesh, we love you. We appreciate you so much, Michaela. Thank you. Seriously, this time of year helps us out tremendously. This means the world to us. Thank you. Yes. There's a reason this woman is Mount Rushmore, MHH. Faux life. It's more than a hashtag, and she personifies that. She says here in her super chat, honestly, I am concerned about the non-signing. How many rookies in the NFL haven't signed their contract? All right, let's get to this. So over the weekend, look, we've known that it had to do with guarantees. But in an article in the contracts, in an article I thought that came out today or over the weekend, let's just say, from Mike Kliss, 9 News, I felt like Zack, he did a good job of just kind of laying it out pretty clearly. And this really all stems from the Houston Texans fully guaranteeing the entire 4-year contract of their second-round pick, Jaden Higgins, who is a wideout from Iowa State, I want to say. He was the 34th overall pick in the draft. Harvey was the 60th. So, for example, Higgins 4-year fully guaranteed contract, $11.7 million. RJ's is, 7 something. Here's what Kliss wrote, though. All right, I'm going to read a few things, Zack, and then I'm going to serve this over to you. We'll get this going. Let me just check one thing here. Sorry, guys. I'm still just trying to play it safe with StreamYard. Make sure I'm not doing anything that's going to like screw up the stream. Here's what he wrote. Harvey is caught up in a league-wide second-round quagmire where the twisted issue, I like that, centers around guaranteed money. These days, signing bonuses and salaries for rookie draft picks are slotted according to their overall selection number. Little aside, that's per the CBA, all right, collective bargaining agreement. Back to Kliss. Harvey, who looked good during the Broncos OTAs and minicamp sessions in May and June, as a runner and receiver out of the backfield, is slotted in for a 4-year, $7.35 million contract that includes, we'll call it $2 million as a signing bonus. He goes on to say, also slotted, at least the Broncos thought so, was Harvey's fully guaranteed money, which was to consist of his signing bonus plus the first 2 years' salary, or in this case, roughly $4 million total. The final 2 years of his deal at a combined $3.3 million, give or take, were not to be guaranteed, close quote. But Zach, the issue here, and now I'm going to serve it over to you, is that rookies and their reps across the fruited plain, the second rounders, that is, are saying, well, hey, we got a new precedent. Let's, we're not budging until everybody now in the league falls in line with this fully guaranteed contract thing that Houston did with Higgins, and then the Browns did some stuff like this as well with some of their picks that have muddied the water.
All it takes is one, just like Kirk Cousins getting a fully guaranteed contract, 3-year contract a few years ago. Then a lot of other players got fully guaranteed deals. But I was noticing this as well too, Chad. Like when the slotted rookie pay system first came out, teams were signing their draft picks to a T based on that initial dollar, the actual projection. I've noticed in recent years, offset language has affected third-round picks, and now guaranteed money, the length of the contract, is affecting second and first-round picks. So they're kind of following the template based on the last year's pick in that slot, but they're also trying to get a little more to set the bar that much higher, just like any other negotiation. I have no qualms, Michaela, that the Broncos will get Harvey and Zack Barron signed. It just won't be necessarily for the exact dollar or at the guarantee we thought going in.
I'm trying to find an answer for Michaela here on the subject of how many have not signed their contract. I was reading it today when I was doing research for the article. So as of yesterday, this is the latest report. 33 2025 NFL draft picks remain unsigned, including 2 first-round picks, one of which is Zack Barron, and 30 second-round picks. So there's the answer there. And we're going to continue to break this down. Go ahead, Zach.
I just wanted to say, I think the other first-rounder is Shamar Stewart from the Bengals, and that's been highly publicized, and it's been the laundry has been aired in public a lot. Hasn't been a good look for the Bengals financially, at least with Barron not being signed and Harvey not being signed. They're not dragging it out into public exposure, and they're keeping it kind of in-house. That's all.
So on this same subject, I want to grab David Yunkin here. Thank you, Michaela. We love you and appreciate you helping us get that conversation rolling. David wanted to know if these rookies aren't signed before training camp, does that mean they can't play? Well, they can't play without signing a waiver, and the Broncos, even if they are willing to sign a waiver, this is where the going gets tough, right? This is training camp. It's one thing to go out there and run around with a helmet on in a relatively protected and controlled environment of OTAs and minicamp, but even then, they took a great risk, and in my opinion, Zach, a show of good faith, Barron and Harvey, to participate in all those camps unsigned. So can they practice in a training camp setting, Zach, where now you've got pretty soon into camp, you'll have full pads, contact. It's, the dog days. This is where teams are honed, right, for the regular season. This is where, to use phrases that Sean Payton likes to throw out there, that callus begins to get built. Do you really want to expose, if I'm Zack Barron or if I'm RJ Harvey, look, I showed the good faith up to this point, but hey, look, I got a finite window to make hay while the sun's a-shining. I'm not going out there unsigned. Sorry. I can't, dude. I can't. I mean, you want me to show up in the classroom? Sure, dude. I'll be there in the meetings. I don't want to get behind, but at the same time, I'm not going to risk my career. They got to get this figured out, and I think they will, although I can't tell you at this stage, Zach, if it's going to mean the Broncos fully kowtowing and just biting the bullet, but at this stage, I'm not sure they have that much to really lose by doing so. The precedent has already been set, and you're going to pay these guys that money anyway. Just guarantee it. Get them in the fold. Let's go.
There's a fine line to walk for a player like Barron. Yeah, he would want to protect his own and not risk injury or his career, but he would want to endear himself to the guys in the locker room, and going out there without even signing his contract as the first-round pick, I think that would send a positive message to his teammates. I don't know the intricacies of it, Chad. I think if he doesn't sign, he'll be able to sign, like you said, a waiver or some sort of injury protection agreement where he'll get some guaranteed money, or in the event of an injury, knock wood, the Broncos would take care of him because they have that in place. But hopefully they get him under contract and we don't have to talk about this that much longer.
Scott knows a little something about, he's not here tonight, but he knows a little something about the insurance policies that get taken out in these situations and how it can protect both player and team, etc., making it a relative non-issue. But get him in, dude. Just get him signed. Let's go. String guy, it's good to see you tonight, my friend. I saw your comment on YouTube, and you're a great dad. That's all I'm going to say without spilling all of your beans. You're a great dad. He just jumps in here to say good evening to everybody, including the Broncos brainiac brethren, frantic football fanatics, and all the usual suspects. No worries in my mind. The contracts will get done by training camp. I think it's probably I'm gonna show Zach a little confidence in this front office, and I'm gonna say by the big back together weekend they'll be signed. Are they going to be signed before Wednesday? Maybe not, but before the cleats really hit the grass and things get rolling, I expect them to get signed, because again, not only Zach are they Harvey and, well, in order, Barron and Harvey, this team's first 2 draft picks this year, but they are going to be relied on. Like, they drafted them to use them now, not next year, not the year after. Barron already projects as the nickel, and Harvey as, if not the RB1, one half of the equation of the 1-2 punch, with J.K. Dobbins.
Agreed all the way around. Yeah, I think 2 weeks from now, we'll hear news that the Broncos signed both of those draft picks, and then the news will say 2 weeks ago the ball was getting rolling. So right about now, I think the front office would be, like you said, Chad, increasing the pressure a little bit, trying to get a deal done. Both sides would be coming to the table, and hook or by crook, regardless, when training camp starts, both will be under contract. That's both of our predictions.
Diablo, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being with us. Shouts. Daniel Berry, what's going on? Great to see you. Mike Thompson's checking in saying, I don't love the idea of causing bad blood over $7 million. Pay the kids, especially when, there aren't any injury concerns with either of these 2 players. It's the wealthiest owners in professional sports, at least American professional sports. They factor already into the tapestry. Like, the Broncos need them in order to realize the vision on both sides of the ball that they have this year. They don't want to be dependent on unfortunately, it's not dependent. They don't want to leave the fate of their defense, for example, up to the vagaries of whether or not a guy who has yet to stay healthy as a pro, Riley Moss. I love him. I think he's great, but he has had a problem staying on the field consistently. They're not going to leave. We saw what happened when he got hurt late last year. The entire thing disintegrated, and for 3 or 4 weeks. And even when he came back, they rushed him back. He wasn't 100%. It wasn't the same defense. We saw that in Cincy. They kind of rebounded, Zach, against the Chiefs backups in the season finale, but it all crashed back down to earth again with a still not quite 100% Riley Moss in that Bills game. My point being, long-winded way of getting to it, but they don't have to worry about that now with Zack Barron, not because he's going to replace Moss, but because if Moss goes down, cool, McMillan, you're in the nickel now. Barron, you're on the boundary. Rock and roll. We're not leaving ourselves exposed. And with RJ Harvey, look, you're relying a lot. If Harvey's removed from the equation, Zach, even temporarily, you're relying a lot on J.K. Dobbins, who I like. You guys know this long before the Broncos signed him. But again, injury concerns. Do you want to be dependent on that? Plus, RJ Harvey was one of the 2 most explosive running backs in the FBS last year, and your running game sucked. It was the least explosive. So just get it done. Let's not pinch the pennies. The precedent's already been set. George Payton, you don't have to worry about being that team that sets a new precedent. That's already done, and you're not to blame. So just get the business done.
Absolutely. And I look at it again. I'll repeat what I said. It's a positive that they went through minicamp. They went through the mandatory, the voluntary practices, both players with whatever agreement they had off to the side. But they didn't make a stink really about not being under contract. They didn't make a stink about the other rookie draft picks in their slots or near their slots getting the money and they're not being rewarded yet. So at least it's not a Shamar Stewart situation. At least they have good heads on their shoulders, and the team and them have an understanding that by training camp, God willing, they will be signed, and we'll all move on from this.
Big Earn, what's going on? Broncos country only, indeed, my brother. Jason Bonney, MHH, and others going to put some eyes on these rookies and the rest of the roster real soon. Can't wait. Amen to that, brother. Thanks for being with us. Sin G jumping in saying, I give Mile High Huddle credit for coming up with content every day during the break. Hey, thank you, brother. There's been a few Saturdays we've missed and whatnot, but hey, we're the content as far as the live streams, the content that's daily, man. It's you're getting videos and articles and shorts, whatever. The content, it's a 365 thing for us here at MHH. Thank you, Sin G. Mike Reno, good to see you, buddy. Broncos will be no less than 11-6, barring injuries. I love it, dude. I love it. George Fox jumping in with some stars, brother. Thank you. Saying, I want to thank all your team as they've made the offseason seem shorter. Broncos for life, MHH for life. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you, buddy. And the same goes for you guys. You've helped us pass the time as well. And that's why it's a family. Mike Reno, though, says, super thank you to Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton for coming to Texas to help in rescue and recovery efforts. We love you all. This team is amazing. Zach, what have you heard about that?
I'm not sure if that actually happened. I know that there's a lot of AI going around Facebook and social media that has these celebrities coming out and helping with the tragedies. But Mike, if that's legitimate, which I'm not sure it is, that's amazing. But there's a lot of deception out there right now in the social media world.
Unfortunately, and you guys have heard me say this before, to watch out for certain pages on Facebook that literally lie to create engagement on their posts. Okay, so I'm looking at this post right now, Zach. I just pulled it up. I Googled it. It's from We Love Broncos. This is a garbage page as far as what I'm getting at here. They post that Bo Nix has donated $5 million and personally joined the Texas flood rescue efforts. Okay. How many engagements does it get? It's up to 9,000 likes on Facebook, almost 600 comments, over 600 shares. That's why they do it. And I'm telling you, they're not real. It's not real, guys. Okay? It's not real. If it were real, I can promise you, Zach and I would not be hearing about it. God bless you, Mike, in a live chat on one of the live streams. There's no other reporting on it except for a Facebook page that's called Love Broncos, who I have previously reported probably 10 times for stealing our articles and posting it on their little website thing. Trust me, it's shade. It's not legit. And that's not, of course, anything against Bo Nix. I'm sure if he could do anything, he would. But this doesn't seem legit, Zach.
If it were real, we wouldn't be talking about why RJ Harvey and Zack Barron haven't signed their contracts yet. It'd be a national major story. I've seen the same thing with Shedeur Sanders, him supposedly helping with the Texas rescue efforts. And it sounds good on its face, but it's, again, like Chad said, made to draw you in, get you to click, and get you to give them money in the end, ultimately.
My advice, guys, is to, if you are following that page, We Love Broncos or whatever it is, We Love Broncos, my advice is to unfollow it because none of it is real. It'd be one thing if they were just posting memes and pictures and articles from legitimate publications like Broncos on SI, MHH, or even some of our competitors out there. They're not. They're stealing content and lying to you. Don't follow them. It just sucks you in. There's no utility there except it lies to you. So That's my advice, and that's not coming from any point of like, I could not care less that there's another page out there. That's not what it is. It's that it's steering you wrong. Phil, good to see you, big dog. Thank you for jumping in tonight to support. Says, good evening, Chad and Zach. Rookies will be signed by training camp, and so will, here's his bold prediction, Zack Allen, in my opinion, he says, Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Dude, Phil, from your lips to the football god's ears, man, I hope that's exactly how it plans out.
Maybe I'm being naive. I just feel like with the inactivity, Chad, we haven't heard anything legitimate from the Broncos since they signed Dobbins. No major news whatsoever. I have to feel like behind the scenes, they've shifted to the focus of being in-house with Allen or Benito or Cortland Sutton or JFM. And Phil, I'm right there with you. I do think they will get signed, Harvey and Barron. And if there's anyone that's extension worthy that should be extended, it's Zack Allen. So like Chad said, from your lips to God's ears.
It was kind of interesting. Let me make sure I didn't mute myself. Okay. It's kind of interesting. Zack Allen, well, first of all, this time of year, there are two credible lists amongst all the rankings and offseason lists that dot the fruited plain during this time of year. There are two that have a true air of credibility to them. One is, of course, the NFL Network's top 100 players because it's as voted on by the players. And then the other one is ESPN's position by position top 10 because they poll NFL execs, scouts, and coaches. So only the guys who are voted and get listed, named by these NFL personnel, make the list. Zach, that being said, though there is more of an air of credibility, how do you explain Zack Allen going unranked on the top interior defenders by these in the ESPN poll? I mean, he was not ranked in the top 10. He was mentioned as an honorable mention. That meant he got plenty of votes, just not enough to be in the top 10 from these execs, coaches, and scouts. And Zach, here's what was written about old Zack Allen by ESPN. From an anonymous defensive line coach said this of Allen to ESPN. Then I want your take. Quote, he's turned into a very good interior rusher, does a good job of using rush patterns in Vance Joseph's scheme to set up rushes for later in the game. His run defense is inconsistent, particularly versus 2-on-1 blocks. His experience with J.J. Watt in Arizona has truly advanced the development of Zack Allen's game. Close quote. Your thoughts on that, Zach, and the fact that he was only an honorable mention?
He looked pretty good in run defense to me last season, just based on the eye test. I'd like to know the other interior defensive linemen that were named instead of Zack Allen. I don't know if you have it pulled up. If not, no,
I got it pulled up. I'll hit you real quick. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the share screen yet, guys, because, again, I don't want to screw up StreamYard. I want a week or two of it being stable before I get back to doing the old things I like to do. So in order, Zach, number 1, Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, Jalen Carter, Jeffrey Simmons, Quinnen Williams, Leonard Williams, Nnamdi Madubuike, I always screw up his name, DeForest Buckner, Vita Vea at 9, and then Cameron Hayward, Zach, at 10. And then the honorable mention section includes Christian Wilkins, Derek Brown, Zack Allen, Zach Siegler, Kobe Turner.
There's a few guys who deserve to be on there. There's a few guys who were better than Zack Allen. Absolutely. But there's a few guys who were not better than Zack Allen that are on that list. So what else do we say, Chad? It's ESPN. It's a national outlet. It's one person's data or opinion or whatever subjective analysis here. We all know how good Zack Allen is, and let him hate.
The only thing, again, that is kind of eats at you is the fact that it came from polls of coaches. You know, it's like, what more does this guy have to do? I mean, there's a reason, Zach. He was, Allen, that is, snubbed from the Pro Bowl last year. It wasn't just fan votes. He wasn't getting the votes from his fellow players and coaches, which make up the other 2/3 of the sum that equates to getting selected for the Pro Bowl. He made All-Pro team as a second-team selection. Good for him. I'm so stoked that he got that. It's also 5 Broncos selected to the All-Pro team last year, which was the most the team has had in a single season since the 90s, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, Zach, because some of those Peyton Manning teams had some superstars.
You know, I always wonder about it's good for us for off-season content, but I wonder about the veracity of these anonymous coach stories and these unnamed sources and this and that. Anyone can write anything, but if you want to look at it in a positive way, Zack Allen not getting that name recognition, it doesn't add the leverage in contract negotiations. If he made the list and other coaches around the league were talking about him in the same category, like an Aaron Donald type of player, he'd be asking for $30 million a year. But I think he's asking for 22 to 25 a year, and he doesn't have that cachet, which could work to the Broncos' benefit. Or I'm just coping really hard.
Hey, Taylor and Mike Thompson, we're getting to you next, brother. Trust. Todd says, I'm not sure, but I thought that all these rookie contracts basically got worked out in the last collective bargaining agreement. So maybe there can be some terms that are negotiable, but the dollar amounts are generally set. Exactly. That was the main crux of that CBA was, hey, guys, why are we paying dudes who are drafted rookies who have never stepped foot on an NFL field more than some of the most accomplished veterans at their position. This is ridiculous. For the sake of the veterans, for the free agent market, for the guys who have put in their blood, sweat, and tears, the NFL owners are saying, hey, let's get this whole draft thing under control. I mean, if you guys look at the contract Sam Bradford got, I think he was he the last one, Zach? I want to say the last big baby number 1 overall pick that got the ridiculous contract before that CBA. And so they did get it slotted. So that was the main battle, was getting that ironed out. And, but there are still these little sub aspects of the slotted contract, Zach, that agents and teams use. And again, blame Houston, blame Cleveland. They're the ones that kind of muddied the water this year.
Took the words right from my mouth. Every time we speak about the rookie pay scale, I think of the contract Sam Bradford got and the hype, or like the notoriety, I should say. It was 90 million or whatever it was, 80 million. It was ridiculous for a guy who's never taken one single NFL snap. So I'm glad that Goodell did do that, but it's becoming very fluid now and becoming not such a swift operation. So there's been offset language problems with third-round picks in the past, and now there's guarantee issues, length of contract issues. And like I said, all it takes is one. That's all it takes for precedent to be set, and now precedent has been set.
Just like that Russ story, and then I'm grabbing Taylor here. Hey, he wanted 7 years, $350 million fully guaranteed. Because why? Because the Browns had done that, not that level, but a fully guaranteed contract for Deshaun Watson. Right. Kirk Cousins made hay on that whole guarantee precedent, fully guaranteed precedent. Taylor, brother, great to see you. Thank you for the super chat tonight, big dog. He says, if the Rooks don't sign by training camp, what does it mean? It just means that they're going to be a little bit behind. I don't think in the case of training camp, you're going to see him out on the grass like you did with the offseason stuff. Maybe the first couple days they could risk it, but once the pads come on, like not just the shells, but like once they're padded up, dude, like why would you risk it? We'll see. But I still think it will eventually get done. Zach and I could be wrong. Maybe it's not done by what is that date, Zach? Is it the 20? So yesterday, I'm just going to look at my phone real quick. So if it's not done by the 25th and 26th, then it'll get done shortly after that, is my belief. I mean, the Broncos need these guys. They want these guys. And we're talking about pennies relative to not only the salary cap, Zach, but we're talking that Walton Penner, that Walmart money. Just get it done.
We haven't heard any negative inklings either. Trust us. We keep our ear to the ground for every single positive story or negative story that can come out about the Broncos. And I haven't heard any displeasure behind the scenes from Barron or Harvey about not having their contract. So Taylor, like Chad said, they'd be behind a little bit, but I think they will get signed. They'll catch up, and they're going to be integral pieces to what's going to be a really solid team in 2025.
Mike, brother, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you,
Jumping in saying, how do you see the NIL affecting draft pick negotiations in the future? Hashtag NFL execs get bent. Hashtag go Broncos. Zach, do you have any fleshed out thoughts on this subject for Mike?
How do you see NIL affecting draft pick negotiations? I don't know that there's going to be much carryover, Mike, from college to the NFL. I could be wrong, and I'm not the biggest NIL expert or college expert for that matter. I just feel like what you have in college, you're not going to be the same guy in the NFL. You go back to zero. You become a blank slate. You don't have the same cachet. You'll have your own brand, but you're no one. When you leave college and go to the NFL, you have to prove yourself there too. So I think the NFL and their decision makers are going to have their own set of rules they're going to follow, Chad. And in college, they could have their NIL deals as well. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think if anything, it kind of gets them used to having money, getting money. God bless them for their services in college. They're not totally broke living off the school by the time they hit the NFL draft anymore, like they were for all those years. Not necessarily totally broke, but you know what I mean? Like they're not just like, of course, these NFL contracts end up being quite a bit more lucrative than what they're able to garner on the NIL. But I mean, other than that, so in other words, it creates a little bit more of instead of you're dealing with these kind of happy-go-lucky, naive kids that are just happy to get their millions, right? These are guys who've now a little bit more experience in the business side of things. So they're a little more savvy, maybe, like in the case of Zack Barron, that's a smart dude. Put aside anything that has to do with the contract. Just Barron himself is a very smart dude. He knows what he's about. And other than that, though, I don't see. I mean, other than how it affects them, just being more experienced with money and business, I don't see it really stretching beyond that. Let me put it that way.
It's a good point. Them being exposed to having some sort of fame and wealth, and also I'm happy for the college players that are getting paid for their likeness. There's so much corruption in the NCAA. They were taking advantage of players with video games and merchandise and apparel, and players weren't seeing a dime. So I know there's a big argument about that, but I'm happy that the college kids are getting their bag in college, and when they get to the NFL, they have to negotiate for theirs again.
Todd says, what I want to talk about is the floor and ceiling of the Broncos receiver group. Listening to the Chicken Little predictions from Nick and Eric is depressing. I think the receivers will be better than top 20. Well, Nick and Eric, they come from that scouting side of things where they believe it when they see it. You know, you got to think about this, not putting necessarily, I love them both, you guys know this, but like not putting them on the level of, say, a guy who's scouting for the Broncos, for example, covering the Western, this and that. But if you're a scout, you have to be very pragmatic in your approach. You can't overhype a prospect to your GM or to your scouting director, get the team all stoked and interested, watch him fall flat on his face in the combine. All of a sudden you look like a jerk, you know, or even worse, they draft your guy and he ends up being a complete, you were head over heels. So that pragmatism is part of it. They're show me guys, right? They're show me, let me see it first. And they kind of base everything on that. Hey, look, I'm with you. I'd like to see him be a little bit more hopeful and hype. I think the Broncos receivers, Zach, have a chance to be, once again, a surprising unit. Are they going to be like a stunning top 10 wide receiver core? Probably not. The talent's not there, but they have the quarterback that's going to raise them and elevate them. And Cortland Sutton will go a long way toward helping kind of, I think, Zach, establish a relatively high floor for the group. But if the Broncos get that year 2, year 3 jump from any of the following, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Devon Vele, or even the rookie, Pat Bryant, it could explode into the stratosphere, you know. But so much of it, Zach, right now what the Broncos have is in potential rather than proven production. That's why you get Nick and Eric trying to just keep expectations in check, not necessarily trying to, you know, talk crap about the team or anything. They're just trying to keep it plausible.
Exactly. They're tough to project right now because so many of their other picks are hypothetical or not realized yet. We don't know what they're going to be in the NFL because they haven't reached their full ceiling. I just think what the ceiling was in terms of the receiving core is the floor of this season because they're the exact same group. Okay, you swap out Lil Jordan Humphrey, but you bring in Pat Bryant. Then you have the young kids. You have another year of Vele. You have another year of Franklin. You mentioned all these players you mentioned already, Chad. So I would be surprised if they finish below the top 20, but I'm not surprised that anyone would have the opinion right now as of July 13th, whatever it is, that they could be below that mark. We'll see.
All right. I'm just, if you see me looking down, guys, I am looking at my phone, but I'm double checking star comments to make sure we're not missing people because we don't have Scott with us tonight. Again, Phil, guys, who could be a surprise wide receiver 2 and number 2 tight end at the end of camp? I think it would be a surprise if Pat Bryant, Zach, became the number 2 receiver by the end of camp. I think, you know, in other words, when we talk about the end of camp ends, whatever it is, Zach, after the first preseason game-ish is when camp officially comes to a close. Then you're in the preseason. But really, when you hear people say it colloquially, what they mean is preseason. Camp and preseason means out of camp, right? Basically, training camp is everything encompassing the build-up and the work and the everything that's laid right before the regular season starts. I could see Pat Bryant being a surprise guy to steal that. I don't expect it for what it's worth. I'm just saying a surprise wide receiver 2. Tight end 2, I mean, the only surprise, I don't know. What's your answer for Phil on both if you want, but especially tight end 2?
I don't think anyone would be a surprise at receiver. Maybe A.T. Perry, Phil, would be a surprise at wide receiver too. But yeah, if Vele won the job, would we be surprised? No. Marvin Mims, no. Maybe Troy Franklin, considering he seemed the furthest away from reaching that level. Tight end 2, it'd have to be Loner or maybe Kroll. I think Troutman right now is the default tight end 2 behind Evan Ingram, but we all love Loner. So I would say Loner for tight end 2.
What was that dude they brought in after the draft, Zach? He's a young vet, not experienced. Priestcorn. Caden Priestcorn, we'll see.
I was never going
to. That's a Priestcorn. So you know how the band Korn spells its name with a K? Take Priest Holmes, but minus the T in Priest, and the band Korn, that's his name. Caden Priestcorn. Kind of unique and cool. Anyway, Loner. Let's just say Loner. I'll concur with you on that, my brother. Thank you, Phil. Mike wants to know here, Reno, is Marvin Mims the absolute number 2 this year, or does Franklin possibly with his speed challenge? I don't think there's an absolute 2.
Agreed.
There's a lot of guys vying for it, kind of to the point Phil was getting at on the last comment, but Mims is as close to there being, Zach, a concrete pecking order number 2 guy, although he's more of a guy that you kind of move around the formation. He's not your locked in Z opposite of Sutton. So it's hard to, even if he by default or de facto, Zach, ends up being the guy who gets the second most targets or receiving yards or whatever, it's hard to view him as that number 2 guy because he'll be moved around. I mean, who was it that called him the number 1 gadget player in the NFL?
ESPN.
ESPN. So like Sean Payton's going to use that. He's going to move him around. He'll throw some running back reps at him just to keep people thinking and wondering. But I'm excited for what Mims can do this year, Zach. I think he figured something out along with the Broncos. Sean Payton, I think, had kind of an aha epiphany. I'm stoked for him this year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I wouldn't get too hung up on titles, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. We all know how good and valuable Marvin Mims is as a punt and kick returner, as an outside receiver, inside receiver, in the backfield at running back, Chad. He's going to be just an integral athlete. ATH, that's his position. That's Marvin Mims from now on. That's why it would be surprising if Troy Franklin, a more traditional receiver, to answer the question, that would be the surprise out of that group.
Yes, Shiloh, I'm with you, dude. People should choose not to share the AI crap on Facebook, indeed. And AI is probably playing a role in how much proliferation there is on outright lies. But part of this, too, is that Facebook stopped prioritizing its news feed a couple 2 years ago, and they used to, if there was a page, Zach, that was constantly posting lies and misleading stories, or I'm not talking about clickbait. Clickbait can be done ethically. I'm talking about outright lies, like bald-faced lies. Facebook used to regulate that stuff. A page like that would not exist. I'm hoping that eventually Facebook comes back to its senses and starts paying more attention to that. But until then, hey, beware, like I was saying, of pages like the other one. I've already forgot what it's even called, but you heard me say it earlier. Shiloh, though, says, our receivers are unproven. Plenty of room to show the league what they've got, and Sean Payton may make a point to do just that. Yeah, dude. I mean, and plus, Zach, Sean Payton is out reportedly, according to one NFL coach, he's like burning desire, gets out of bed in the morning because he wants to make Bo Nix a superstar. If Bo Nix becomes a superstar, Zach, there are going to be a lot of guys who ride that wave to the top with him who catch those passes.
Look at how many no-name receivers Tom Brady had in his heyday with the Patriots, his prime. Not saying, disclaimer, not saying he's going to be Tom Brady, but like Chad said, the quarterback can make the receivers, not the other way around necessarily. And who heard of Marcus Colston when he was first drafted or picked up by the Saints, Chad? And Sean Payton made him a star out there in New Orleans. I think he's going to do the same to one of, if not all, with Franklin Mims and Vele and Pat Bryant.
What is it? Something Vele had the most productive rookie season as a 7th-round pick of any receiver drafted in the 7th round since Marcus Colston. You know, those two things are not a coincidence. We don't believe in coincidence. We know what the common denominator is there, Sean Payton. Mike trying to clarify his previous super saying on the NIL front. I more meant the top picks are rich, and that has to be harder to negotiate with. Yeah, rich, maybe not rich, but like they're not worried about money, right? That's for sure. they become rich and wealthy in the NFL, but we totally get it. And Phil's here saying the NIL will affect when a player commits to the draft, which could be true. Let's grab this super chat though from Sam Bam jumping in, brother. Love you. Thank you, pal.
Thank you.
Mount Rushmore for a reason. Says, hi guys, just got home, jumping in here late. Hope all is well. It is. Go Broncos. It is well because we're 3 days away from the rookies reporting to training camp, which puts us that much closer to actual training camp kicking off, which again, basically is 2 weeks from this weekend.
I can squint and I could start to see it, Chad, very faintly, the light at the end of the tunnel. We are almost there. The 6-week respite, the break is almost over. And yes, Sam, training camp's around the corner. We're so excited. Thank you so much, as always, my brother.
Zach, I don't know what this means from Shiloh. The Rock is not playing Neil Smith on Netflix. I mean, we all know who Neil Smith is, who the longtime former career Kansas City Chief who joined the Broncos for those back-to-back world championship clubs. And he helped, famously, John Elway took less money to bring in guys like Neil Smith to make that championship push. But Shiloh, dude, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. The Rock is not playing Neil Smith on Netflix. And if Zach doesn't know, then we're screwed here on the MHH podcast.
Yeah, I haven't been too in tune with the Rock's play. He's all over the place doing a bunch of other stuff. So I don't know, Shiloh. Fill us in. Let us know.
I'm looking to see if anyone, any other context clues here. But hey, provide some further context and we'll happily react. He does say, though, unless someone surprisingly valuable is cut at tight end, what?
He clarified. Yeah, he goes, that's one of the AI stories going around on Facebook that The Rock is going to play Neil Smith. So appreciate you, Shiloh.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. See? And beware, guys. It's BS, dude. And, of course, we're Broncos fans. I don't blame you. I'm right there with you. We're thumbing through our feeds, at night laying in bed or in the middle of the day or, taking 5 minutes while you're on the John, whatever. And you see these things, you go, oh, like. That's what it wants. It wants the like. It wants that engagement for the algorithm. It boosts them. Don't do it. Don't do it. From those kind of pages. Hey, look, there are, I'll say it right now. It's not just MHH. There are credible sites, publications, pages on Facebook that you can trust besides us. All right. Mile High Report, DNVR, Broncos Wire, Predominantly Orange. You can trust those pages, okay? Some of these botted, weird pages, guys, I'm telling you, don't get out over your skis, all right? Okay, let's see. Where are we at, Zach? Holy crap. It's already been 42 minutes, dude. That seems weird to me. It feels like we've been talking for 10 minutes, no lie.
Always flies. That's why you guys are the best. You make it so fun. Go so fast.
Hopefully for Pearl, we're helping working go by a little bit faster. She says, I'm working, listening to you. Great to see you tonight, Pearl. Thank you, my dear. All right, let me see here. What haven't we covered in the chat? Just making sure there's not something. And yeah, Jason, I agree with you on this, big dog. Sean Payton is the tide that raises all boats. The receiver room will be more productive than their actual talent might suggest. He literally schemes guys open with the best of them, yes. But I do agree, the general premise that Todd was bringing up earlier, that I think Broncos receivers aren't getting enough credit. They don't have, Zach, that Jamar Chase, explosive, twitched out, elite guy. But they don't have that guy. But they have a hand-selected core group of dudes that Sean Payton covets, like that prototype, the big body. And then they got the one guy who can kind of do a little bit of everything, Marvin Mims, and keep you on your heels. Plus, you got Evan Ingram in the mix now. You keep him healthy, dude. That alone is going to be a huge boost to the receiving core overall for the Broncos.
We talked about it during the season. We talked about it right after. We're still talking about it. The job that Sean Payton did with the supporting cast, or lack thereof. I mean, really, it was Courtland Sutton and that's it. Maybe Marvin Mims, but he had no running game. He had no veritable tight end. He had no receiver help that was proven beyond Courtland Sutton. So to add those other pieces like you talked about, to have a running game, a safety blanket, a tight end, more receiving help, another year of Bo Nix. That's why last year's ceiling is this year's floor. Absolutely.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Last year's ceiling this year's floor. String guy Chad, what's up with Ron and Dylan? Saturday's my only day off work right now. I missed the pod on Saturday nights. Yeah, dude. So, I mean, to be totally transparent, Dylan's had stuff come up for him that have made Saturday nights doing his show untenable. And we don't have an easy go-to replacement, even temporarily, for Dylan on Saturday nights. So it's kind of been in limbo, and it's something I've been trying to work on for Ron and for you guys, but no immediate, imminent solution yet. So my only advice to you there, String Guy, is hang in there. But I mean, it's a goal to maintain MHH's live streams as a 7 days a week thing, but there will continue to be a little bit of a blip in there. Phil, I can't believe how many famous people have died according to Facebook, only to see them live on screen as I'm reading the article. LOL. Dude, going to see Superman. I went and saw it today. I won't spoil it, but I'll tell you, as a dude that was born in like 1979, that was a long time ago. So I grew up with the original big screen Superman, Christopher Reeve. This is the closest thing to that we've gotten in the modern, superhero movie landscape. And I don't count the Superman Returns, the Brandon Routh Superman. That was cool and all, but it was kind of boring and bland and a little bit lame. This is cool, man. This was pretty good, I would say. And I'm not even like a superhero genre guy, for what it's worth. I'm like a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Like, I like that kind of stuff. Superheroes to me, it's kind of, I go to see them because my kids want to go to see them. This one I actually wanted to see because the little kid in me that loved those OG Superman movies, especially the first two, this was pretty close. Like, it was in the spirit of that, not the grimdark Man of Steel stuff you got from, what's his name? Zack Snyder, which, they were okay, but I'm just telling you, like, you don't have that hopeful, funny, all that stuff, not a part of it. You get that in the new Superman. And I thought it was solid. Is it going to win an Oscar? No. But it's a good start for the relaunch of the new DC, and I'm sure Zach can't wait to go see Superman.
I mean, I did hear it was good. I'm not the biggest superhero film guy either, but I did hear it was good. So, Phil, get out there and enjoy. Appreciate you tuning in with us tonight.
I didn't watch any of for what it's worth, I didn't watch any of the TV Superman stuff. I'm just keeping it with the movies for what it's worth when I talk about the superhero Superman stuff. Leroy, good evening, priest. Mile high salute right back at you. Looking forward to training camp to see what the upcoming season will be all about and our identity on both sides of the ball. Amen to that, brother. Cannot wait. It's going to be fun. Phil, have fun with your grandson. It's a romp. There's really nothing in it. A couple of words that I would prefer aren't in it, or aren't said in a movie that's going to be predominantly seen by children, but nothing like extreme, nothing too gnarly. So yeah, you should be good. But guys, with that, we got a couple messages for you. Then we're going to take one last look at the chat. So anything burning on your mind, get it in the chat, but hang tight.
Tremendous episode, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle. Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football pre-say 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
On the subject of Troy Franklin, attributes don't equal talent, blazing speed, struggles on over-the-shoulder catches. Yeah, that was a little bit of a problem for him last year. I wouldn't say it's something that you have to worry too much about it torpedoing his outlook, because if we could see it, again, on the outside looking in, he could, and of course the Broncos could. I'm sure he spent some time on that. Troy Franklin, that is. All right, I think, Zach, we've covered everything. Leroy saying, I did miss the beginning. What's going on with Barron and Harvey not signing? Is this something new? It's basically this. They want their contracts fully guaranteed. So usually it's just the first 2 years guaranteed to kind of distill the early conversation. They want it fully guaranteed. So there you have it. There's an article up, Leroy, at milehighhuddle.com on the subject. You can read that for the fine deets, or just rewind once we end the stream, which is coming up here shortly. First, a Mile High salute, a special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters helping us keep the lights on, like the Papa Bear early, the Duchess, top rope Super Chat of the night. Love you, Michaela.
Thank you, Michaela.
George Fox, Phil McLaughlin, Taylor Christensen, Mike Thompson, Sam Bam. Great to see you, Sam. Shiloh. And if I missed anybody on stars, forgive me. We don't have Scott, so I can't 100% verify it when we're live sometimes. So anyway, much love and respect, guys. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow night. It's going to be a gas. Have a great start to your week.
Have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.